Hello everybody and welcome to this video. In this video I am going to be explaining the new Kingdom Hearts Union Cross finale. It was very awesome to experience it last night and there were so many things that happened. But I've been seeing a lot of misconceptions on things that have happened from people who aren't really too much into the lore. So I wanted to make this video to explain everything that happened in Union Cross to the best of my ability, as well as provide some of my theories about certain things that happened and what will happen in the future. So I'm going to go in order. Oh, also I should say huge shout outs to Everglow for providing us with the English translation, because for some reason Square Enix decided to not launch this globally and in Japan at the same time. So we have to use this translation. So huge shout outs to Everglow. Please go check them out. I really appreciate it. This story update was really crazy and I'm going to be sharing all of my thoughts as well as explaining what happened in each scene. So I'll try to skim through. So first off here we have Luxu and the Master of Masters talking about, basically we learn in this scene that the Master of Masters set up all of the foretellers, Luxu and himself, to be a container for 7 of the 13 true darknesses. And Luxu is against this because it's pretty much using the foretellers as sacrifices, because the only way the darknesses can be destroyed is if they are inside of a body and then you destroy the body that they're inside. So the Master probably wants Sora in the future, or somebody in the future, to defeat the foretellers so that the darknesses also get defeated. That is my theory on that. So in this scene we learn that there are not 6 darknesses but 13 darknesses, 7 of which are in the 7 Lost Masters, and then 1 is in Ventus, 1 is with Maleficent, and then the other 4 are in the Data world. In the next scene we see Lauriam and Elrena and Ventus getting sent out of Daybreak Town using the pods, and all 3 of them end up appearing in different areas. I believe Elrena and Lauriam appear at a similar time, since they're able to find each other and be in Organization 13. And then Ventus, obviously, he appears in the Keyblade Graveyard where Master Xehanort finds him in Birth by Sleep. And obviously, Lauriam still wants to find his sister, and that is going to be his goal going forward. He's afraid of losing his memories, and Brain pretty much reassures him that he needs to etch his goal into his heart so that he doesn't forget about finding his sister, and that'll bring everyone together. And then in the next scene we see Scold, Ephemer, and the player in the Data world, and the player ends up pretending to be one of the darknesses and he starts fighting Ephemer and Scold. And then what happens is that Ephemer creates a portal and sends the player through the portal, which all the darknesses follow the player into the portal. And then, yeah, that's pretty much what happens. The player is pretending to be one of the darknesses because he's trying to trick them into following him, and we'll get to more of that later. And there's a cool little fight here, and that's pretty much it for this scene. As you can see here, Ephemer shoots the player and sends him through the portal, and all of the darknesses follow. And then you actually see Ephemer crying right here, which is pretty sad. And this finale is very dark. And I think this is the scene that really, this and another scene really confuses people the most. So Luxu walks up to Brain and he's like, are you one of the Union leaders? He says yes. And then Brain explains his plan on how he's going to escape. And Luxu tells him that he pretty much tells him it's going to be dangerous. You're not going to make it out. Like, he doesn't say it, but he implies the fact that the pod is not going to work for Brain because he needs someone to remember Brain, and he also needs to have a medium to get to his destination. So Luxu knows that Brain using the pod would be terrible for him, and Brain would not survive. So what ends up happening is Luxu walks up to him, and he says, it's phrased pretty strangely here, but he says, it's unfortunate to think that your life will end here. Back when I first initially reacted to this scene, I thought Luxu was like threatening to kill him by saying it's unfortunate to think that your life will end here. I thought he was like implying that he was gonna kill Brain or snatch his body. But I think what he's saying is it would be a shame if your life ended here. So I actually think Luxu is trying to help Brain get out of there safely, because obviously Luxu is against. He's very vocal about the Master like sacrificing all the foretellers. Like, clearly Luxu is a good guy, hence why he's being called a traitor, because Luxu's like the only one questioning the Master's orders. So I really think Lucio is trying to help Brain here, and I'll get to that later. There's more I want to say about that for a future scene. And then here we see the player with the 4 darknesses. They're in a data cable, and the player ends up closing off the other side of the door, I guess, the gateway to the data world from the portal cable, so that the darknesses stay locked in there forever. And then the player ends up like dissolving with Chirithy, implying that they're dying but not really dying, you know, Kingdom Hearts ways of dying. And then we see Ephemer and Scold appearing in the real world. At this point, Brain and Lucio are gone, as we'll see later, and then they go outside and realize that it's really dangerous. So they go back inside, they take the portals out of there, or not the portals, the pods. They take the lifeboats out of there because it's really dangerous, and they need to escape. In this scene, we see the Masters and Darkness. Darkness is questioning the Master's plans, and the Master pretty much says that wherever he goes, darkness follows him. So this time, the Master wants to go to a place where that darkness can't even think of, can't even fathom. A world of fiction, the world of unreality, which is heavily implied to be Quadratum, the world of Yuzora, the world of Verum Rex. So that's where the Master is headed off to. We see the Masters in the secret ending of KH3. We see the Masters in Quadratum, so we know he ends up being there, because apparently darkness cannot reach the world of fiction. Neither can light. Light and darkness don't have any say over what happens in Quadratum, so that's why he's going there. I don't know what the Master's goal is after going to Quadratum, if he's going to do anything there, if he's plotting something else, we have no idea. I do think Yuzora and the Master have something to do with each other, but I'm not sure exactly how. But I do think the Master is going to affect Yuzora's world in some way, shape, or form. Alright, now we see Scold and Ephemer getting into the pods, and they're reminiscing on all the times they spent with the player, because now they know that the player is gone, player's dead, and they're very sad about it. And then there's a rumble, and then Ephemer is just remembering the time that he spent with the player, and he's obviously very sad about the player going away, as you would if one of your best friends just disappeared, you know? The ending of this finale is super dark, and then he's crying, the things close, and then rocks topple over the lifeboats as they're about to send them away. And so what ends up happening is, I believe Scold does get sent safely away from this area. Like, the pod actually activates. And in one of the secret reports of Kingdom Hearts 3, we find out that Subject X appeared in the square of Hollow Bastion, where Apprentice Xehanort finds her. Subject X is heavily hinted to be Scold. So I think what ended up happening was Scold ended up appearing in the square of Hollow Bastion right after this. Unfortunately, Ephemer's lifeboat did not work, did not end up sending him anywhere, as we'll see in a future scene. And I do have more that I want to explain about Scold and her appearing in Hollow Bastion, or Radiant Garden rather, but I'll save that for later. Alright, and this is a scene that blew everyone's minds away. We found out here that when Keyblade wielders are about to die, or they're about to go to sleep, they can choose to either go to sleep or to continue on to get reincarnated as someone else. But when a Keyblade wielder decides to sleep, they merge with their Chirithys so that their Chirithys can protect them, and they turn into the Dream Eater spirits that we see in Dream Drop Distance. So all of the spirits in Dream Drop Distance are actually fallen Keyblade wielders that are merged with their Chirithys. So that is wild. That really blows my mind when I think about the ending of Dream Drop Distance, where Sora goes to thank them in Traverse Town, how Ventus smiles. I think it's because Ventus smiling before didn't seem too important and had nothing to do with Kingdom Hearts Key, but like now there's the possibility that Ventus is remembering his fellow Keyblade wielder friends from this era, and that's why he's smiling, because he knows that the spirits are the Keyblade wielders of the past. Pretty crazy. And then the player decides that he's not going to go to sleep. He's going to live on another life. And so it transitions to this woman carrying a baby. This baby is Xehanort. And a lot of people have been saying that Xehanort's mom looks a lot like Skuld. And I actually don't think this is Skuld. I just think it's Xehanort's mom. I think she's her own character. Because Skuld has yellowish eyes, but Xehanort and his mom have gray eyes, because that's their original eye color, while Skuld's original eyes are yellowish brown. There's also this old man that we see, and it hasn't been confirmed who this old man is, but my theory is that the old man is actually Ephemer, and I'm like 50-50 on this, but I do think this old man is Ephemer, and so Ephemer as an old man takes Xehanort in, takes him to Destiny Islands, and then raises him, and then unfortunately he dies. He passes away from old age, and then he ends up appearing back in Skalad Kylum, where he was born, and he meets Ericus, and then Dark Road happens. It'll be interesting to see what happens on Dark Road. I am interested to see how Ephemer's Keyblade ended up, well, not Ephemer's Keyblade, but the Master's Defender that Ephemer wielded. I wonder how that made it all the way to Ericus. My theory on that is that, well, I'll save that for later, actually. But yeah, we find out that the player gets reincarnated as Xehanort, and that is completely, that is just mind-blowing. Back to the Skuld thing appearing in Radiant Garden, I do think that the reason Skuld was able to appear in Radiant Garden because she had memories of her there in Radiant Garden because Xehanort was there, and Xehanort is the reincarnation as Xehanort is the reincarnation of the player who has memories of Skuld. Whether or not Xehanort is able to recall his memories of Skuld, I have no idea. I don't think there would be any other way for Skuld to appear in Radiant Garden had there not been memories of her buried deep inside Xehanort. So that is why she appeared there. And that also might explain how Ventus was able to appear in the Keyblade Graveyard and get found by Xehanort, because Xehanort is a reincarnation of the player. So I don't know, I think that makes sense, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And then we get the credits. There's a new credits theme, which is pretty cool. You guys can find it on YouTube, the ROM music, but it contains like a lot of different Dearly Beloveds. One from KH1, also from Kingdom Hearts Key back cover, from Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, from Union Cross, and then at the very end, you actually hear the Kingdom Hearts 3 Dearly Beloved, which completely blew my mind. It's crazy how it all ties together, even thematically with the music. It's crazy. All right, and then after the credits roll, we get to see a lifeboat floating in the ocean. This is after Daybreak Town collapsed, so we can infer from this that this lifeboat never got activated because it got broken. So Ephemer just miraculously survived in the lifeboat without it bringing him anywhere. He just ended up surviving the wreckage. And Skuld, I assume, actually got transported, while Ephemer did not. This scene with the crow and Maleficent's cloak is a reference to Kingdom Hearts 2, where this very same thing happens, because the cloak is Maleficent's medium, and then the memories of Maleficent from the crow and the three fairy godmothers, sorry, the three good fairies, they serve as the memories for Maleficent to come back. And that's why in Kingdom Hearts 2, the three good fairies, they say you mustn't remember her name, like you mustn't recall her name, because they know that if they mention Maleficent, she'll be able to come back. Like they knew in Kingdom Hearts 2 that this would happen. And then we see Laurium here in Dwarf Woodlands. He's in a bunch of flowers. This is just symbolism for the Marluxia we all know and love, who uses flower petals as his main weapon, well, and his scythe as well. And then we see a thunderstorm, and thunder and lightning, it's symbolism for Larxene, because she uses lightning powers, and Elrena is there. And then Ventus we see in the Keyblade Graveyard, because we know in Birth by Sleep, that's where he is, and that's where Master Xehanort finds him and extracts the darkness from Ventus to make Vanitas. And then this scene, I did say I was going to talk about this. So this scene, we see Lucio carrying the box, and then he pulls his hood down, and we see Brain's face. So at first, I was thinking, wow, Lucio really stole Brain's body. I can't believe it. He did Brain dirty. But no, I think that Lucio actually helped Brain by doing this, because Lucio knew that Brain wasn't going to make it, through the pods. He knew that Brain wasn't going to survive if he used the lifeboats. So he negotiated with Brain, most likely, to take his body, and then in a later point in time, Luciu would separate from Brain's body and return it back to him. Like, he would discard his body, and then Brain's body would be reformed in wherever he would appear. I think that's what happened. I think Luciu taking over Brain wasn't with bad intentions. I think it was with really good intentions, because if Luciu did not fuse with Brain would not have made it out alive. All right, and now we see in the secret ending, we see that Brain is in Scala ad Caelum, but in the future. And by the future, I mean like after, because we find out that Ephemer created Scala ad Caelum and that he doesn't exist anymore. So Brain appears at a period of time like after Ephemer ends up passing away. And the hat, see, this guy, his name is Sigurd, he knew that Brain would appear at this moment of time because it was likely written in the Book of Prophecies, and Ephemer told this guy Brain would appear in this period of time. And they had Brain's hat as the medium and the memories of Brain within the people in order to bring Brain back, because it was written in the Book of Prophecies. And the reason it was written in the Book of Prophecies was because the eye of the Keyblade, of the no-name Keyblade, was able to capture it, right? And who has the no-name Keyblade? Luciu. It all makes sense. Now, whether or not Brain can wield the no-name Keyblade, I have no idea. Or if Luciu's just walking around in a different body right now using the same Keyblade. I actually don't think so, because in one of the secret Ansem reports, Luciu says that he passed down the Keyblade to someone after he completed his main goal. So my theory is that Luciu passed down the Keyblade to Brain, and Brain ended up passing it on to Xehanort, most likely. However, I'm very, very torn, because I still think Brain is the ancestor of Ericus. Ericus is a descendant of Brain because they have very similar features. Their hair is pretty similar, their face is very similar, and Ericus was confirmed to be a direct descendant of one of the original Keyblade Masters, that being either the Union Leaders or the Foretellers. Probably the Union Leaders, that being Brain. How it ended up getting from Ephemer to Ericus, I have no idea. It could be that once Ephemer passed away, Brain was able to use the Master's Defender again, and then he ended up passing it down, but I have no idea. According to Master Ericus, his great-grandfather was in the Keyblade War. We know that Brain was in the Keyblade War, but the only way for his great-grandfather to be in the Keyblade War was if he somehow traveled through time in order to pass it down. And we see baby Xehanort being born in this very same area, which means that this area exists. This moment of time where Brain is in right now is also the same moment of time where Xehanort was born, when Xehanort was born. So it really, I don't know. It might be that Brain somehow gave the Master's Defender to Ericus in some way, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure Kingdom Hearts Dark Road will give us some answers. And then we see that in the fountain of there's like this fountain in Scala ad Caelum where we see that there's a statue of Ephemer holding the Master's Defender because he's the creator of Scala ad Caelum. And it's implied that Ephemer is gone. He doesn't exist in this time anymore. What Brain ends up doing, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And then it says an oath to return Kingdom Hearts, which means that Kingdom Hearts will return in some way, shape, or form, and I am super duper excited. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this explanation of the finale of Union Cross. I hope I cleared up some of your questions regarding this final episode. I hope my theories made sense. I know it was kind of rambly, but I tried my best. But yeah, we should be getting a massive story update for Kingdom Hearts Dark Road in like a few months. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I still wonder who Master Odin is and how he's connected to things. I do want to figure out who the old man is who brought Xehanort to Destiny Island, because I'm like 50-50 on it being Ephemer, but I'm not sure. There's no evidence to suggest that. I'm just going off of gut feeling. To me, it would make sense if it was Ephemer, but again, I have no idea. It could be anyone, could be a new character, but usually when you hide someone's appearance, it's because it's somebody we know about. So I have no idea, but regardless, I'm excited. Kingdom Hearts Union Cross's story has ended up being one of my favorites. I didn't think it would be, but I love the story so much, and I really want Square to give this story a proper remake, whether it be in the form of a classic Kingdom Hearts game, like in the classic format, or through an extended movie in the style of Kingdom Hearts Key back cover. That would also do the story justice. I just want to see the story like fully voice acted with more emotion and character, but we'll see if that ever happens. But it is crazy to think that after, what, 7 years, Kingdom Hearts Key is finally over. That is crazy. It's been a wild ride. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave this video a like, and also subscribe if you are new. I will be uploading plenty more Kingdom Hearts content here on YouTube, so make sure you are subscribed for that. And also comment in the comments down below what you think about the finale and what you are looking forward to the most in the future of the Kingdom Hearts series. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Salutations.